disturbing the events that almost ended humanity. Look at this ad. Wait, I have to do the intro again. Wait, I have to look at. No, we'll just leave it, bro. We'll just leave it. Leave it in.
The elements become their element.
Why are they just staring at me like I did something fucking wrong, bro?
You had friends who were building safe spaces for nuclear fallout in their backyards. They were stockpiling rations. They were stockpiling water.
Do you guys ever think you guys will do that? Like set up for a nuclear fallout shelter? Like eventually? Because, you know, it's gonna happen. Eventually. You know, someday. Hopefully not in my lifetime, but you know.
Something will definitely happen on the predicted date, and you don't have to have religion.
I've been thinking about it. I'd be like Fallout 4 and shit. Where I just like... I get one of those mech suits and I come outside of my fucking thing.
Which is massive. It's absolutely bonkers.
Okay, I'll shut up.
The Soviet colonel who famously saved the world from nuclear war has passed away.
Hollywood movies about the end of the world sometimes aren't fiction. Humanity has come close to extinction.
Why is Mix It Up glowing
most
red?
People have no idea. In this video, we'll explore disturbing events that almost ended humanity. From deadly plagues to malfunctioning weapons.
Oh, so you're just gonna talk about COVID.
Moments that nearly wipe this out. So I want to thank you guys because
The Ice Age, the Cold War.
Is 2.5
Wait, no. Let me try to guess. Let me try to guess. COVID. The Black Plague, the Cold War, World War II.
It is an absolutely crazy goal, so it would mean the world if you
What
subscribe,
else?
and I will do my very best to put out the best video.
What else can I
possibly
think
can
of?
For you, I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. The day the world almost exploded.
What?
In 1961,
When did this happen?
the
Oh, I
world
wasn't
nearly
born.
Ended because a secret military operation went wrong. The operation was meant to keep people safe, but when it backfired, it almost caused the disaster.
Keep people safe by using nuclear weapons? Are we dead ass? Are
Midway through
we
the 20th
serious?
century, two superpowers prepared for a conflict which might have ended life on the planet.
Here's how it happened. In the 1950s, tension was growing between two global powers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Each side feared the other would strike.
Oh yeah,
first.
Cold
So
War.
today,
I knew it.
both
I
nations
knew it.
built extremely powerful nuclear weapons. But instead of creating peace, those weapons created paranoia. American leaders feared a surprise attack at any moment. They wanted a way to respond instantly if war broke out. So the military came up with a way to stay prepared at all times.
Stay prepared for a nuclear weapon.
They decided to put nuclear bombs on planes and keep those planes flying 24 hours a day.
America had
Are you fucking stupid?
a dozen B-52s in the air at all times, ready to strike the Soviet Union.
What? Are we fucking
If war started, the bombers would already be.
What, your plane goes fucking down after 24 hours, you fucking detonate
All
a
we
country,
need
bro.
was
Like, what the
order to
fuck?
attack. The planes could even refuel mid-air, allowing them to stay airborne for hours. But this strategy came with a huge risk. If one of those planes crashed, the nuclear bombs would crash with it, and that would be devastating. In 1961, that nightmare
That's what I said,
scenario
Visual Venture.
became real. On January 24th that year, a plane took off from an Air Force base in North Carolina. It was carrying 2 nuclear bombs. Each one had the explosive power of 3.8 million tons of dynamite. The flight began without trouble. Then the crew noticed a serious issue.
And then I crashed my plane, bro.
They
Fuel
lost 19
leak!
tons of fuel in 2 minutes. Something was really bad wrong with that thing.
Fuel was pouring out of the plane. Without fuel, the aircraft would fall from the sky. And with 2 nuclear bombs on
Land in the
board,
water at
it would
that
be
point.
Catastrophic.
The plane was ordered to return to Seymour Johnson for an emergency landing. When the aircraft had descended to about 10,000 feet, the pilots were unable to control it in steady flight.
The pilot flew as fast as he could, but it wasn't fast enough. The fuel ran out before they could reach the base.
No, I don't
The
think this
crew
would
tried
end
to
in humanity, but it
reach
just
the
ended like...
two didn't
No,
make
no,
it.
it would,
When
because
fell,
then...
it began-
Because that, like the economy and shit would fall, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh no, and then
break
they die.
apart
And
mid-air.
everyone's dead.
Both nuclear bombs separated from the aircraft.
The bad news was there were 2 nuclear bombs aboard that plane that were blown out of the bomb bay as if they were launched in an attack.
Luckily, both nukes were fitted with parachutes. One nuke drifted down and became tangled.
The
in a
nukes
tree in
had
North Carolina.
parachutes. Weird.
There was explosive power greater than all the bombs ever used on this planet hanging from the trees in
Oh
Pharaoh.
The bomb
my
squad arrived
god.
and secured the weapon. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but there was still one more bomb missing. The second bomb was not as lucky. Its parachute failed to open. The bomb slammed into the ground at full speed. By some miracle, it didn't explode. That was because the impact damaged
What?
key internal parts and stopped it from detonating. But that didn't mean
Oh,
that was
thank
it. The bomb
God. Holy
stuck on
shit.
the ground. The military rushed to try to get it out.
We started digging first with shovels and then realized this thing is going way, way deep. Shovels aren't going to cut it.
More crews arrived with heavy equipment. They dug until they finally reached the weapon. Their first priority was to check whether it was
Chat,
armed.
how is a nuclear
Calls up
bomb?
the
I don't know why
guy
I'm
in
asking
the
that.
hallway.
Never
He
mind.
says, "Hey, Lieutenant, I just found the arm safe switch." I said, "Good." He says, "No, not good.
Never
It's
fucking
not
mind.
armed."
When the nuke fell, it began its detonation sequence. Almost everything required for an explosion was already activated, except for one switch.
It's like
That
the
switch
atoms gets
flipped,
cut
the
or something,
nuclear
right?
Explosion would have happened right there in North Carolina. Eventually, the military recovered much of the weapon. However, some portions of the weapon containing uranium were left in the ground. They were buried too deep to be removed safely. To prevent anyone from digging it up, the government purchased part of the site. It was a close call. If either bomb exploded, millions of lives would have been lost. Even
Yeah.
worse, the blast might have been mistaken for an enemy attack. US
Oh, and
leaders
then
might
a
have
full-on
responded by
war.
launching
Holy
nukes
shit.
at the pursuit.
Holy fuck,
The
that
other
could have gone
side would have
actually
responded.
terribly
A chain
wrong.
reaction could have triggered a global nuclear war, and that could have caused a worldwide catastrophe. But life went on, and most people never knew how close we came to the end of humanity. This next event wiped out entire cities off the map, and it was invisible. The illness
special
wiped
adventure.
out a continent. You've heard about many different deadly diseases, but the bubonic plague was on a different level. Eventually, people started calling it the Black Death because once someone caught it,
See,
their
I called
livelihood
it.
is gone.
I called
The
it at
outbreak
the
was
start of
so
the video.
severe that many
I called that
believed
shit.
The end of the world had arrived. To understand how one infection nearly destroyed humanity, we need to go back to where it began. In the 1300s, ships were the main way people traveled and traded. When a ship arrived at the port, it usually meant something good was coming. But in October 1347, 12 trading ships arrived in Sicily, and they were carrying death. When inspectors boarded the
Carrying
ships, they
death.
found bodies everywhere. The few sailors still alive could barely move. They were infected with a strange disease from another part of the world, and now they brought it to Italy.
I already know this.
Name. But most people
Ah.
called it the bubonic plague.
How many times were you guys taught this in high school? Because I was taught it like fuck ton of times. I was taught it at least 4
And
times.
those rats carried infected fleas.
The bubonic plague is spread by infected fleas that live on the backs of rats. The rats stow away on ships and live in close proximity to humans.
The rats left the ships and entered the city. From there, the disease spread fast. Some were infected through flea bites. Others caught it after touching someone who was infected.
Once it kind of gets into you, you can spread it to other people.
This wasn't a regular illness. About 60% of infected people passed away. That meant for every 10 people who got sick, only 4 survived.
Up to maybe 60 to 70% of the population died. Which is
67.
massive. It's absolutely bonkers.
Doctors rushed to find a
Bonker.
cure, but they didn't even understand the disease.
What also aided in the transmission of the disease was the lack of medical knowledge.
They were like using like fucking they were like grabbing sticks and stones and shit for teeth so you can get some better dental care or something.
Still, people refused to give up. They tried everything to
They'll
survive.
fucking chisel in your
Many
teeth.
believed the plague was a punishment from God. They tried to earn forgiveness. Groups of people whipped themselves in public, marching from town to town. They believed self-punishment would bring mercy. Eventually, so many people joined these rituals that the Pope had to order them to stop. Another story began spreading around that time. It was about 4 thieves who robbed the homes of the sick. Somehow they were able to get near the infected without catching the disease. The thieves protected themselves by drinking
That's cool,
vinegar mixed
I
with
guess.
herbs. They also rubbed the mixture on their skin. The thieves were eventually caught, and legend says they traded the recipe in exchange for mercy. That mixture became known as 4 thieves vinegar. At one point, people even believed money carried the disease, so they began washing money with vinegar. But none of these remedies worked. The plague continued to spread.
The plague exploded
Yeah, because it didn't
all
have
across Italy and
super,
quickly spread along trade routes
super
across the entire
fucking
Mediterranean and
crazy.
Europe.
Entire villages were wiped out.
How did it
Thousands of
actually end? I
farmers
don't
passed
remember.
away. With no one left to work the fields, crops were never harvested. Food began to run out. So even people who avoided the plague ended up starving.
What
The
is this
plague returned
old-ass
again
video?
And again over many years.
That's
Graves
not-
went from hundreds
that was
to
not
thousands
recorded
to
back then.
millions. Doctors never stopped trying to find a cure, but they needed to protect themselves.
What's
by
up,
treating
Gibu?
patients.
So do they use the vinegar to cook? No, they just rub it on
So during
themselves like fucking
Later
lotion.
plague outbreaks,
Which
doctors
sounds a
wore long
little painful.
cloaks
Imagine you had to
and
cut.
like masks. They even stuffed herbs inside the masks to protect them from breathing in the disease. Over time, doctors noticed something important. Isolating the sick slowed the plague down. Quarantine became the only effective means of stopping the spread of the plague.
Authorities in Italy declared that every person with plague be taken
Like
out of the
COVID.
city into the fields to die or to recover.
And as they did that, the plague subsided. When it was over, Europe felt hollow.
The BBC says an estimated 25 million people,
The big
over a
black
third of Europe's
clock.
population, succumbed to the plague.
It took
I don't know why I
centuries
said
for
that.
doctors to fully understand what caused the plague.
In 1894,
That's my
scientists
bad.
discovered the bacteria behind the plague outbreaks.
That discovery changed the world. It helped shape modern medicine and public health.
Why was the Black Death so deadly? Great question. Basically because there's no antibiotics. That's it.
The plague showed
Yeah.
no mercy. If it kept spreading at the same rate for a few more years, humanity might not have survived. This next story reveals how technology almost destroyed life as we know it.
What do we mean by
Countdown
that?
to Doomsday.
Huh?
December 31st, 1999 was more than New Year's Eve. To many
19
people,
I
it
was
the
on board.
day modern
That's why I don't
civilization
know
would
about it.
collapse.
Elevators may stop. Heat may vanish. Credit cards and ATMs may cease to function.
What?
People were
Oh,
panicking,
like
but
the
they were
solar,
also preparing.
like the solar flare shit. Like if it hits the Earth, it deactivates a
Families
bunch of
stocked
shit,
up
right?
on canned food. Others hid in underground shelters. Some even bought firearms for protection. It was the most
What date?
anxious
December
night in modern
31st,
history. And it was all because of a
1999.
computer glitch called the Y2K.
Okay,
bug.
never
In
mind.
the 1970s, computers
What?
were very different from what we have today. They were huge, slow, and extremely expensive. One of the highest costs was storage. At the time, data storage in computers was expensive and took a lot of
The
space.
Y2K.
To save money, programmers made a decision. Computers would only store the last
you
two
talking about?
digits of each year.
Programmers only used 2 digits for 2 reasons. One, they didn't have a lot of memory space for their programs, and secondly, they never imagined their software would last as long as it did.
So the year 1975 was stored as 75. 1989 became 89. For decades, this caused no problem.
Apparently, they're predicting everything would get wiped when New Year's happens.
Hospitals used computers to monitor patients. Power plants relied on them to generate electricity. Planes depended on software to fly. Even nuclear weapons contained millions of lines of computer code. Simply put, computers ran the world. Then in the early 1990s, someone asked a shocking question.
Why use 4 numbers when you only need 2? And then they recognize, what date is a computer going to think it is when we get to 2000?
The answer was alarming. Computers would record the year 2000 as 00. But to a computer, 00 also meant 1900. That meant time would jump backwards by 100 years. And that jump would make millions of computers glitch and crash all at once. The potential damage could be catastrophic. Most people had no idea this problem existed.
That's sick.
Then in 1993, a software expert published an article warning about the glitch. People read it and panicked. The media amplified the fear.
Dude, fucking one article can make the world go fucking cuckoo, man.
Comparing Y2K to a huge natural disaster, like an earthquake, a hurricane, or a tornado.
Hollywood released movies depicting worst-case scenarios.
Y2K, the movie.
There was even a documentary titled
They
Y2K
try to get that
Family
money up
Survival
before the
Guide.
world ends, bro.
People became convinced the end was near, so they prepared in very different ways. Some got protection.
I've got a revolver right now, but I wanted something more.
Others bought enough food to last a year. Religious groups prayed for God's mercy. Even business owners saw
For the computer?
an opportunity to profit.
The computer?
And order your ultimate Y2K survival kit.
But while the world panicked,
Me when I
programmers
try
were
to
trying
profit.
solve the problem. Every 2-digit year had to be found and rewritten, and it all had to be done before midnight on December 31st, 1999. It was a race against time. Soon, that day was here. December 31st, 1999. Governments around the world were on high alert.
Behind me, you've got representatives of all the government departments here, and they're waiting anxiously. The Department of Health, the DTA, FBI, the Treasury, all that kind of thing.
Families stayed home waiting.
Fears of the Y2K bug are keeping many people grounded, and most say they'll settle for being close to home with family and friends.
Eventually, midnight arrived, and the world didn't end.
What happened when the clock struck midnight on January 1st?
Clock strikes 12. Midnight arrives.
Everything actually turned out to be just fine.
But this was not luck. During the 2 years leading up to Y2K, IT professionals spent an average of 70 hours a week rewriting code. It cost between $300 to $600 billion to fix potential problems.
Damn!
But work paid off. Planes kept flying, banks stayed open, hospitals kept running, and the Y2K bug did not destroy the world. This next chapter was undoubtedly the deadliest conflict in human history. The war that almost ended civilization. A world war is exactly
World
what
War
it
II?
sounds like. It's a time when countries in nearly every part of the world are pulled into fighting. So far, it's happened twice. Both times, the destruction was massive. Engineers invented new weapons. Scientists created deadly poisons. Spies were sent behind enemy lines. As bodies piled up, it felt like humanity might destroy itself. During the First World War, more than
Imagine the value of tomato. Oh my god, yeah, you're right. Maybe that's why the world is in trillions of debt. You think that's why?
What we call a total war. These nations
Where do we even have 600? Where do we pull 600 billion out of, bruh?
However, it was the Second World War that almost destroyed civilization. By the time it ended, it wiped out roughly 3% of the world's population, but it could have been much more. It began when Adolf Hitler rose to power in Germany. He wanted to dominate the world,
declaring that the Germans were a superior race that needed living space. Lebensraum. Hitler began to rebuild the German military.
German forces invaded nearby countries. Other nations tried to stop them. Soon it became a global conflict. Millions of innocent people were taken to prison camps. Food became scarce. Civilians lived in constant fear. As the war dragged on, many believed the only way to stop it was to remove the man at the center of it all. People around the world planned ways to assassinate Adolf Hitler, but somehow he kept surviving. One attempt happened in Munich. Hitler was scheduled to give a speech. Before the event, a man planted an explosive device near the stage. He timed it to go off while Hitler was speaking, but Hitler left the building a few minutes early. By the time the explosion occurred, he was long gone. Another time,
Holy
even
shit.
Hitler's own
Lucky
officers
ass
tried
fuck.
to blend him. The most
Lucky
serious
ass
attempt
bitch,
happened
bro.
In July 1944, a German officer carried a briefcase into a meeting with Hitler. Inside was a bomb.
He placed a briefcase with an explosive device next to Hitler and left.
Hitler and his generals were in the room unaware of the danger. Minutes later, the device went off. Several people lost their lives, but Hitler survived again.
A heavy oak table shielded Hitler.
This
at the
fucking
moment
guy,
of the
man.
explosion.
After the incident, Hitler became paranoid. He ordered mass arrests. Around 5,000 people suspected of plotting against him were arrested. In total, there were at least 42 attempts.
42 and we failed.
Snipers and bombs. Each one failed. Eventually, Hitler convinced himself
This lucky
he was
fuck.
protected by fate. That confidence made him careless, and he made terrible decisions. By 1945, Germany was defeated, but in the Pacific, the war was still raging. Then the deadliest strike of the conflict occurred. In August 1945, atomic bombs were dropped on Japan. A witness described the blast as something out of hell.
The flash radiation of heat from the blast scorched hillsides as far as 8,000 feet away from ground zero.
Thankfully, the war ended before more nukes could be used, because experts warned that a nuclear war would lead to the total extinction of human civilization. World War II lasted 6 years. By the end, the world was in ruins. 60 million lives were lost. Nothing since has reached that level of destruction. This next chapter explores a devastating natural disaster you probably never heard of. The year the sun disappeared.
Well,
Volcanoes
what?
erupt all the time, and most people barely notice. But in 1815, one blast was so
Oh,
powerful
the
it nearly
volcano
ended the
blast.
world. It didn't just destroy land; it poisoned the sky. The sun disappeared, crops failed, and the earth began to freeze. For
You guys know about the thing where like people are like they might use like not a volcano blast, but like something like the after effect of like a volcano blast to cool the earth. That was a
Here,
weird
many
thing
were
that I
sure
learned in a
the end
documentary
was
when I was
here.
younger.
The
I was
story
like, the
begins
fuck? That's
on the
so
island of
weird.
Sumbawa in present-day Indonesia. The people there were farmers and fishermen. Their lives depended on sunlight, rain, and healthy crops. At the center of the island stood
Or just
Mount
scatter shit in
Tambora.
the
For
air to
generations,
prevent
the mountain
so
was
much
quiet.
like sunlight coming out.
Tambora blowing its top, no one even realized that it was a volcano.
People were so comfortable that they built villages around it. Children grew up playing on the slopes. But deep inside the mountain,
That's
pressure
sad.
was growing. By 1815, Tambora could no longer hold it in. It erupted. Hot lava spewed from the volcano.
The blast caused earthquakes, tsunamis, and pyroclastic flows that decimated the land and took tens of thousands of Indonesian lives.
Witnesses described the eruption as a flowing mass of liquid fire. Thousands of lives were
Holy
lost.
shit.
Nearby villages were destroyed. But this local destruction wasn't what nearly ended humanity. The real danger was invisible. Mount Tambora's eruption polluted the sky.
The eruption spewed an unimaginable volume of ash and tens of millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Sulfur gases were so high that rain couldn't wash them away.
The ash cloud generated by the volcano made its way to the stratosphere, reflecting incoming sunlight and cooling the Earth.
Those particles spread and blocked substantial amounts of sunlight from reaching Earth's surface. Less sunlight meant less heat. Slowly,
Less
the planet
heat?
began to cool. At first, people only noticed colder days, but within months, it became clear something was very wrong because the weather stopped making sense. 1816 became
Bruh.
known as the year without a summer.
Oh, yeah,
that
'cause the
year,
fucking
seasons
thing-
were unpredictable. Snow fell in June. The frost destroyed crops in July. By August,
Holy
the fields were
shit.
frozen, and there was no summer that year.
Europe, China, and even North America all experienced below average temperatures that year.
Really?
And entire harvests were ruined.
Even America, from all the way from Indonesia, is that is that fucking volcano that big? Holy
In
shit!
Asia, heavy rains caused floods, and in India,
Super
new
volcano would be
diseases began to
scary,
spread.
man.
It was
Imagine a
chaos,
super
all because of
volcano
one
now.
volcano
Holy
erupted.
shit!
Thankfully, the effects didn't last forever. Over time, the ash and sulfur slowly fell back to Earth. Sunlight returned, temperatures slowly rose. By 1818, the seasons were acting normally again. Crops grew back and foods returned. Against the odds, humanity survived. This next chapter is about a man
And there's
who
a
had
ton of them
50-50
underwater too,
chance
no?
of saving the world, and he guessed right. How one man saved the world.
What?
In most jobs, making a mistake can get someone fired. At worst, a company loses money. But in September 1983, one man was tempted to make a mistake at work. And if he did, the world would have gone up in flames. Literally. His name was Stanislav Petrov. He was a lieutenant colonel working in a Soviet military command center. His job was to monitor an early missile warning system. The system scanned the skies for missiles heading toward the Soviet Union. If it detected an attack, Petrov had to immediately report it to his superiors. Soviet leaders would then decide whether to fire their own nuclear weapons at the enemy. Petrov's job was crucial. If a real attack happened and
So did he?
reported-
So I'm guessing, like, I'm guessing he's like maybe I don't warn
If
them.
he treated a false alarm as real, the result could be the same. On September
Maybe I don't
26th,
warn them.
1983,
Or
Petrov
here.
arrived for a
Maybe
shift
his
like any other
maybe
day.
he was like very patriotic. He was like, no, actually, fuck you. You're sending bombs right now.
He sat at his console and reviewed some files. Suddenly, the alarms went off. The system detected a missile launch.
The siren sounded very loudly, and I just sat there for a few seconds, staring at the screen with the word launch displayed in bold red letters.
Petrov checked the screen. It showed 5 missiles heading toward the Soviet Union. Petrov knew the procedure. He was supposed to report the alert immediately, but he didn't. He kept staring at the screen and started thinking, why only 5 missiles? A real nuclear strike would begin with hundreds. It would be
Mhm.
designed to destroy the country
That would make sense.
in one massive hit. Petrov also knew the missile warning system was not 100% foolproof. It could potentially have an error.
He had a choice to make.
It detected a bird in the sky, and it fucking was like, that's a fucking bomb. That's a fucking bomb.
Much time to make a decision.
Petrov felt he needed more information. He remembered that ground-based radar could confirm incoming missiles. He checked the radar reports. It showed no missiles. At that point, Petrov had only seconds to make a decision. If he reported the attack as real and it wasn't, the Soviet Union might launch its own missiles. The United States would retaliate, and the world could end in a nuclear war. Petrov made his choice.
And then I made my decision. I would not trust the computer. I picked up the telephone handset, spoke to my superiors, and reported that the alarm was false.
After reporting that the system was giving false information, Petrov waited. If he was wrong, he would know soon. A nuclear strike would hit within minutes. 23 minutes later, nothing had happened. The early missile warning system was wrong. Those 5 missiles didn't exist. Later, investigations revealed the false alert was caused
Holy
by a
clutch.
the satellite.
Thank God we didn't have a fucking dumbass behind that computer, bro.
Clouds for missiles.
Holy.
Petrov's commanders never rewarded him for saving the world from nuclear war. For years, no one outside the military even knew what happened. Almost a decade later, a former commander revealed the story in an interview. Western media picked it up and reporters began searching for Petrov. By then, he was an old man living in a small apartment. Before long, he became known as the man who saved the world.
Petrov received hundreds of letters of recognition from all over Europe, but he never understood why. He said he had just been doing his job.
Hollywood made films and documentaries about
yeah,
him.
but
He
when your
received an
job
award
is
at
the
the
fate of the
United
world,
Nations. He was
you
celebrated
know, it's a
as
little
hero
different.
until his last breath.
The Soviet colonel who famously saved the world from nuclear war has passed away.
The scariest part about these near extinction
Oh my God, he's
events
gonna do
is
it,
that
he's
most
gonna do
people
it.
have no idea how close we came to the end. We walk through
whoops,
life
whoops,
thinking
whoops,
we're safe,
whoops.
but the truth is we
Whoops.
are more fragile than we think. So my friends, be grateful for everything you have today, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Visual Venture.
Visual Venture.
Wait, before you go, make sure you guys watch my video about evil human experiments that actually happened. I talk about volunteers who were forced to kill a live mouse, actual mind control experiments that the CIA performed, and a baby who was horribly experimented on. Click here.
Holy
to watch
fuck.
it. Love you guys. Peace.
GG's. Cinnamoroll jump scares? Yeah, bro. I'm just fucking tabbing out, man. I'm just tabbing. I'm just fucking tabbing, eh? Eh, fucking bud. Fucking tabbing it out, eh? Fucking bud. Fucking hell, eh? Chip, chip.